The massive alien warship appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system like a dark metal mountain floating in space. It was 3 times larger than any human space station and covered with strange blue lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. Ship had been traveling through the galaxy for months, and now it had finally reached its target. Admiral Vexthar stood on the bridge of the Dominion's edge, looking at the small blue planet through the main viewing screen. He was tall and thin, with purple skin and 4 arms that moved gracefully as he worked the control panels. His golden eyes sparkled with confidence as he studied the readings from his ship's computers. "Another primitive world," he said to his crew in a voice that sounded like metal scraping against stone. "The scans show they barely have any technology. Their fastest ships use chemical fuel, and they still fight wars with simple weapons." The other aliens on the bridge nodded their heads in agreement. They had conquered over 200 planets for the Zephyrian Galactic Empire, and Earth looked like it would be the easiest victory yet. The computers showed that humans had not even learned to travel between stars. They were stuck on their one small world, completely unaware that a vast empire controlled most of the galaxy. Vexthar had been chosen for this mission because he was the Empire's best military leader. He had never lost a battle, and he had turned dozens of rebellious planets into obedient colonies. The Emperor himself had given Vexthar the Dominion's Edge, the most powerful warship in the royal fleet, to make sure this conquest went smoothly. "Sir, we are picking up radio signals from the planet," reported his communications officer, a creature with 6 eyes and tentacles instead of arms. "They seem to be sending entertainment broadcasts and news reports. Very primitive." "Good," Vexthar replied. "That means they have a basic communication system we can use to deliver our surrender demands. Begin preparing the standard conquest protocol." Far below on Earth, things were much different than the aliens expected. In an underground facility buried deep beneath a mountain, dozens of humans worked at computer screens and monitoring equipment. The room was filled with the quiet hum of machines and the soft clicking of keyboards. General Kim Hyun sat at the main command desk, watching multiple screens that showed data from satellites and telescopes around the world. He was a short, stocky man with graying hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He had spent 30 years in the military, and he knew that the strange object that had appeared near Mars was not natural. "Dr. Park, what are your instruments telling you?" he asked the woman sitting at a nearby workstation. Dr. Park Mina looked up from her computer screen. She was young, but already famous for her work studying space. Her fingers moved quickly across her keyboard as she analyzed the data flowing in from observatories around the globe. "It's definitely artificial, General," she said. "The object is roughly 15 kilometers long and appears to be made of some kind of metal we've never seen before. It's giving off energy readings that are beyond anything humans have ever created." Lieutenant Colonel Lee J. joined them at the command center. He was tall and thin, with the quick movements of someone who had spent years in special operations. "Sir, we're getting similar reports from military bases worldwide. Every major power has detected the object, and everyone is asking the same question." "Which is?" General Kim asked, though he already knew the answer. "Are we looking at first contact with an alien civilization?" Dr. Park pointed to her screen, where a 3-dimensional image of the alien ship slowly rotated. "Based on its size and energy output, this isn't an exploration vessel. The power readings suggest weapon systems far beyond anything we have on Earth." General Kim felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. He had prepared for many kinds of threats during his career, but an alien invasion had always seemed like science fiction. Now it was becoming very real. "Get me President Martinez on the secure line," he ordered, "and contact the other major powers. If this is what I think it is, we're going to need everyone working together." As the humans began their emergency preparations, Admiral Vexthar was putting the finishing touches on his conquest plan. The Dominion's Edge had moved closer to Earth, positioning itself just beyond the orbit of the planet's single moon. From there, his weapons could reach any target on the surface within minutes. "The planet has several large population centers," his tactical officer reported. "Their military forces appear to be scattered across multiple continents, with no unified command structure. They should surrender quickly once we demonstrate our superior firepower." Vexthar smiled, showing rows of sharp silver teeth. In his experience, primitive civilizations always followed the same pattern. First came fear when they realized they were outmatched. Then came desperate attempts at resistance that only made their defeat more obvious. Finally came surrender and acceptance of their new place in the empire. Excellent, he said. Begin the demonstration phase. Destroy a few of their military satellites to show them our capabilities, then broadcast the surrender demand. I expect this conquest to be completed within 2 of their planetary rotations. The alien warship powered up its weapons, and Earth's first real test was about to begin. The first sign of the alien attack came when 3 military satellites simply vanished from their orbits. One moment they were sending signals back to Earth, and the next moment there was nothing but empty space. General Kim Hyun watched the satellite tracking screens go dark and felt his heart sink. Confirmed, sir, reported Major Choi Bin from the communications station. The aliens destroyed our surveillance satellites using some kind of energy weapon. No debris, no explosion signatures. They just disappeared. Before General Kim could respond, every radio, television, and internet connection on Earth began broadcasting the same message. The voice was mechanical and cold, speaking in broken versions of dozens of human languages. People of the 3rd planet, the voice announced. I am Admiral Vexthar of the Zephyrian Galactic Empire. Your world now belongs to us. You have 48 of your time periods called hours to surrender completely. All military forces must stand down. All governments must submit to imperial rule. If you comply, your lives will be spared and you will serve as workers in our empire. Dr. Park Mina looked up from her computer screen with wide eyes. General, they're broadcasting on every frequency at once. This level of technology should be impossible, the alien voice continued. If you resist, we will demonstrate the power of the Imperial fleet. You cannot win against us. We have conquered 200 worlds. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our ships. Choose wisely. The broadcast ended, leaving billions of humans staring at their screens in shock and fear. But in the underground command center, General Kim was already moving into action. Get me President Martinez, Prime Minister Chen, and Premier Volkov on the emergency line, he ordered. Also contact the military leaders in India, Brazil, and Japan. If these aliens think we'll just roll over and surrender, they're about to learn something about humans. Within an hour, secure communication. Lines connected military leaders from around the world. The conversation was tense but focused. The situation is clear, General Kim explained to the group. We're facing a technologically superior enemy that expects us to surrender without a fight, but they've made several mistakes in their approach. What kind of mistakes? Asked General Roberts from the Pentagon. Dr. Park stepped forward to explain. I've been analyzing their ship's energy signatures and behavior patterns. Their technology is very advanced, but it follows predictable mathematical models. They seem to approach warfare like a science, with precise calculations and expected outcomes. Meaning what exactly? Asked Premier Volkov through the translator. Meaning, they probably expect us to fight like the other civilizations they've conquered, replied Lieutenant Colonel Lee J. Organized military formations, conventional tactics, predictable responses to superior firepower. General Kim nodded. Exactly, but humans don't fight like that. We've spent thousands of years fighting each other, developing tactics for asymmetric warfare, guerrilla operations, and unconventional strategies. Captain Song Yul, who had joined the meeting from his naval command post, spoke up. Our submarine fleet is completely invisible to their scans. They're monitoring the surface and space, but they don't seem to understand that we have weapons platforms hidden underwater. Same with our underground installations, added Colonel Han Wu. They're tracking our obvious military bases, but they missed hundreds of hidden facilities. On the alien warship, Admiral Vexthar was becoming confused by the human response. Instead of panic and immediate surrender, the planet's communication networks were buzzing with activity. Military units were moving, but not in retreat. They seemed to be repositioning for some kind of coordinated action. Sir, reported his tactical officer, the humans are not responding as expected. Their military forces are not standing down. Then we will give them a clearer demonstration, Vexthar replied. He targeted a large asteroid floating near Earth's moon and fired his ship's main plasma cannon. The asteroid exploded in a brilliant flash of light visible from Earth's surface. Broadcast this message, he ordered. That asteroid could have been one of your cities. Surrender now or watch your civilization burn. But the human response was not what he expected. Instead of surrendering, they began doing something completely unprecedented in his experience. They started laughing. The alien communication systems intercepted thousands of human transmissions making jokes about the asteroid explosion. Humans were calling it a light show and comparing it to their own fireworks displays. Some were even making humorous videos about the aliens and posting them on their global communication network. Sir, I don't understand. The communications officer said with confusion in his voice. They appear to be mocking us? Admiral Vexthar had never encountered anything like this in 2 centuries of conquest. Fear, anger, desperation, bargaining, these were normal responses. But humor? Mockery? This was completely outside his understanding. Meanwhile, on Earth, the human response was becoming coordinated in ways the aliens couldn't detect. Civilian hackers were working with military intelligence to probe the alien ship's communication systems. Scientists were sharing data about the ship's energy patterns. Military units were preparing unconventional attack strategies that had never been tested against alien technology. Their mistake, General Kim told his staff, is assuming we'll behave rationally according to their standards. But humans have never been entirely rational, especially when someone threatens our home. Dr. Park looked at her latest analysis of the alien ship. General, I think I've found something. Their technology is incredibly sophisticated, but it's also incredibly specialized. It's designed to counter advanced organized military forces. I'm not sure it can handle chaos. What kind of chaos? Asked Major Choida. Dr. Park smiled for the first time since the crisis began. The humankind. Admiral Vexthar decided it was time to end this foolish human resistance. He had given them enough time to surrender, and their strange behavior was beginning to annoy him. No species had ever mocked the Zephyrian Empire before, and he would not let these primitive creatures be the first. Target their largest population centers, he commanded his weapons officer. Begin with what they call New York, then London, then Tokyo. 3 precise strikes should convince them to surrender. The Dominion's Edge powered up its massive plasma cannons. The weapons were designed to destroy entire cities with surgical precision, leaving the surrounding areas intact for future Imperial use. Vexthar watched with satisfaction as his targeting computers locked onto the human settlements. But something went wrong. The moment he fired the first shot, the plasma beam veered off course and struck empty ocean instead of the city. The targeting system showed an error message that his technicians had never seen before. What happened? Vexthar demanded. Sir, our targeting computers are being interfered with, reported the weapons officer. There appears to be some kind of electronic disruption field around the planet. What the aliens didn't know was that Nam Sol, a young satellite technician working from a hidden facility in South Korea, had been busy for the past 6 hours. Using a network of communication satellites, weather monitoring stations, and even television broadcast towers, he had created an invisible web of electronic interference around Earth. The aliens' advanced targeting systems were designed to work in clean space environments where electronic signals followed predictable patterns. But Namsol had turned Earth's entire electronic infrastructure into a chaotic mess of overlapping signals, false readings, and random interference. The alien computers couldn't get a clear target lock on anything. Sir, we're detecting movement from their military forces, the tactical officer announced. But the patterns don't make sense. On Earth, Captain Kang Min was leading a squadron of 12 F-35 fighter jets toward the alien ship. But instead of flying in the standard formation that military pilots trained for, his planes were scattered across the sky in what looked like random chaos. Some flew high, others stayed low. Some flew fast, others moved slowly. There was no apparent pattern or coordination. Remember, Kang Min told his pilots over the radio, don't think like military pilots. Think like birds avoiding a predator. Be unpredictable, be random, make them guess what you're going to do next. The alien ship's defense systems tried to track the approaching aircraft, but the computers couldn't predict where the planes would go next. Every time the targeting systems tried to lock onto a fighter jet, the plane would suddenly change direction, speed, or altitude in ways that made no tactical sense. "These humans fight like they're insane," muttered the alien tactical officer. At the same time, Commander Yoon Da was preparing his own surprise from beneath the Pacific Ocean. His submarine had been hiding on the ocean floor, completely invisible to the alien ship's sensors. The aliens were looking for threats in space and in the air, but they had never considered that humans might attack from underwater. "Launch all missiles," Yoon Da ordered. "Full spread, maximum confusion pattern." 24 missiles erupted from the submarine and broke the surface of the ocean, but instead of flying directly toward the alien ship, they followed crazy zigzag patterns. Some missiles flew backward before turning around. Others spun in circles before heading toward their target. A few even seemed to chase each other before remembering their real purpose. The alien defense systems had never seen anything like it. Their computers were designed to intercept military missiles that flew in predictable ballistic arcs. But these human missiles were acting like they were drunk or broken. "Sir, we can't get target locks on the incoming missiles," reported the defense officer. "They're not following any logical flight pattern." Vexthar watched in growing confusion as his powerful warship struggled to defend against what should have been primitive human weapons. His plasma cannons fired wildly, trying to hit the unpredictable missiles and aircraft, but most shots missed completely. Then Wing Commander Baek Jin joined the battle with his squadron of older F-16 fighters. These planes were even more primitive than the F-35s, but Baek Jin had loaded them with a special surprise. Instead of expensive military missiles, his planes carried modified fireworks, amateur rockets built by hobbyists, and even model airplane engines converted into tiny missiles. "The alien computers are designed to handle military threats," Baek Jin explained to his pilots. "But I don't think they know what to do with a model rocket powered by hobby fuel and guided by a smartphone GPS. The result was chaos. The alien ship found itself under attack by hundreds of tiny, cheap, unpredictable objects that its sophisticated defense systems couldn't understand or counter. Every time the ship's computers tried to classify a threat, they found something that didn't fit any known category of weapon. A model airplane carrying a small explosive charge flew directly into one of the ship's sensor arrays. A modified firework rocket exploded against the ship's hull, doing no real damage but creating a brilliant light show that confused the optical sensors. A homemade drone, built by a teenager in his garage, somehow managed to fly through the ship's energy shields and attach itself to an external communication antenna. "This is impossible," Vexthar said, watching his tactical displays fill with hundreds of unidentified objects. "How can such primitive beings create such effective chaos?" His ship's computer systems were beginning to overload from trying to process too many unexpected variables at once. For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Vexthar was facing an enemy that refused to fight according to any logical rules. Admiral Vexthar stared at his command screens in complete bewilderment. His ship's computer systems were flashing warning lights and error messages faster than his crew could read them. The tactical displays showed thousands of small contacts moving in patterns that made no sense according to any military doctrine he had studied in his 200 years of conquest. "Sir, our main computers are overheating," reported his chief technical officer, a spider-like creature with 8 mechanical arms. "They're trying to process too many unpredictable variables at once. The logic circuits weren't designed for this level of chaos." "How is this possible?" Vexthar demanded. "These humans have barely learned to leave their planet. Their technology is centuries behind ours." What the Admiral didn't understand was that Earth's greatest weapon wasn't technology at all. It was something the Zephyrian Empire had never encountered in their conquest of 200 worlds, pure creative chaos backed by the stubborn refusal to give up. In a small apartment in Seoul, programmer Oh Tae was having the time of his life. He had managed to hack into the alien ship's communication systems using nothing more than his gaming computer and an internet connection. The alien networks were incredibly advanced, but they had been designed to communicate with other logical, organized civilizations. "Their security is amazing," Otai said to his online friends, but it's designed to stop other advanced aliens, not a crazy human with too much coffee and no sleep for 3 days. Otai began flooding the alien computer networks with everything he could find on the internet. Cat videos, cooking shows, music videos, news reports, social media posts, video games, and millions of random files began pouring into the alien ship's data systems. The alien computers tried to analyze and catalog every piece of information, thinking it might be some kind of human intelligence data. But how do you analyze a video of a cat playing piano? What military significance does a cooking recipe have? Why would humans store thousands of pictures of their food? Sir, our data analysis computers have stopped working, reported the intelligence officer. They're stuck trying to understand something called memes and keep asking for clarification about why humans take pictures of their breakfast. Meanwhile, in the mountains of North Korea, former Special Forces operator Lim Jun was coordinating a network of resistance cells that the aliens never saw coming. During the Cold War, dozens of countries had built secret underground facilities and communication networks designed to survive nuclear war. These networks had been forgotten by most people, but Lim Jun remembered. The beauty of our old Cold War infrastructure, he explained to his team over an encrypted radio, is that it's so old and simple that their advanced scanners can't detect it. They're looking for sophisticated military communications, not radio equipment from the 1960s. Lim Jun's network included farmers, shopkeepers, retired soldiers, and ordinary citizens who had been quietly preparing for this moment without even knowing it. They used car radios, walkie-talkies, and even signal flags to coordinate attacks that appeared random but were actually carefully planned. A farmer in Kansas launched weather balloons filled with aluminum foil and fireworks toward the alien ship. A group of teenagers in Brazil used remote control helicopters to carry small explosives. A retired teacher in Japan organized her entire neighborhood to point laser pointers at the alien vessel, creating thousands of tiny lights that confused the ship's optical sensors. Intelligence officer Ko Ran was coordinating the information warfare from her position at a cyber command center. She watched as the alien ship's communication systems became more and more confused by the flood of random human data. They're trying to understand us logically, she reported to General Kim. But humans aren't logical. We're emotional, creative, unpredictable, and sometimes completely crazy. Their computers can't handle that. The alien ship's artificial intelligence systems were beginning to break down. They had been programmed to analyze enemy behavior and predict future actions based on logical military doctrine. But humans didn't follow military doctrine. They followed their hearts, their anger, their sense of humor, and sometimes just their desire to cause trouble. Logistics coordinator Seo Hwan was managing the supply lines for this chaotic resistance, but instead of using military supply chains, she was using pizza delivery services, online shopping networks, and even school bus routes to move equipment where it was needed. Sir, we can't track their supply lines, the alien logistics officer reported to Vexthar. They seem to be using their civilian infrastructure for military purposes, but in ways that make no sense. The final straw came when Otai managed to hack into the alien ship's internal communication system. Suddenly, every screen on the Dominion's edge began playing the same video. A compilation of humans doing ridiculous dances, making funny faces, and generally acting silly. "Turn it off," Vexthar shouted. "We can't, sir," replied his technical officer. "The human virus has infected our entertainment systems, our communication arrays, and even our bathroom displays." For the first time in his career, Admiral Vexthar felt something he had never experienced before: doubt. These humans weren't fighting like any civilized species should. They were fighting like they're completely insane, he whispered to himself. What Vexthar didn't understand was that humans weren't insane. They were just being human, and being human meant never giving up, no matter how impossible the odds seemed. Dr. Park Meena sat in her laboratory surrounded by computer screens showing data from the alien ship. She had been awake for 3 days straight, drinking coffee and analyzing every piece of information about the enemy vessel. Her hair was messy and her eyes were red from staring at screens, but she had finally found what she was looking for. "I've got it," she announced to her team. "The alien ship has one critical weakness." Engineer Jang Ho looked up from his workbench, where he was building something that looked like a cross between a satellite dish and a microwave oven. "What kind of weakness?" "Their entire ship runs on synchronized energy patterns," Dr. Park explained. "Everything works together in perfect harmony. Weapons, shields, engines, computers. It's incredibly efficient. But if we can disrupt that synchronization," systems analyst Moon AA understood immediately. "The whole ship would experience cascading system failures, like pulling one card out of a house of cards." "Exactly," Dr. Park said with a tired smile. "But we need to hit them with something they can't predict or counter, something so chaotic that their computers can't adapt to it." Jang Ho grinned and pointed to his strange contraption. "I think I have just the thing." Across the city, Otai was still flooding the alien computer systems with internet data, but now he had help. Hackers from around the world had joined his effort, creating what they called Operation Digital Chaos. They weren't just sending random files anymore. They were sending specifically chosen pieces of human culture designed to confuse alien minds. "Send them every conspiracy theory ever written," Otay instructed his team. "Every urban legend, every ghost story, every piece of nonsense humans have ever believed. Let their computers try to figure out if Bigfoot is real or why people think the moon landing was fake." The alien artificial intelligence systems were already struggling, but this final wave of illogical human information pushed them over the edge. The computers began asking questions like, "Is Elvis Presley still alive, and why does this matter for military strategy?" And, "What is the tactical significance of pineapple on pizza?" On the Dominion's edge, Admiral Vexithar watched his ship's systems fail one by one. His tactical computers had given up trying to predict human behavior, and were now displaying error messages in languages that didn't exist. His communication systems were playing human music videos on repeat. Even his bathroom facilities were, somehow, infected with cat pictures. "Sir," reported his chief engineer, "the humans have launched something new. It appears to be, I'm not sure what it is." Dr. Park's final weapon was rising toward the alien ship on a pillar of flame and smoke. It looked like a rocket, but it was actually dozens of different devices strapped together with duct tape and hope. Jang Ho had combined satellite technology, radio equipment, smartphone circuits, and even some parts from a broken microwave oven. "Will it work?" asked Moon as they watched their creation climb toward space. "I have no idea," Dr. Park admitted. "But that's exactly why it might succeed. If we don't know what it's going to do, then their computers definitely can't predict it." The makeshift device reached the alien ship and began its real purpose. Instead of exploding like a normal weapon, it started broadcasting every type of electromagnetic signal it could produce. Radio waves, television signals, cell phone data, Wi-Fi networks, Bluetooth connections, and dozens of other frequencies all burst out at once in a chaotic electronic symphony. The alien ship's sophisticated systems tried to analyze and counter this new attack, but there was nothing to analyze. The device wasn't following any design pattern or logical purpose. It was just making electronic noise. Beautiful, chaotic human electronic noise. "Sir, all our systems are failing," reported the alien technical officer. "The human device is creating interference patterns that our computers can't process." Admiral Vexthar felt his ship shudder as critical systems began shutting down. The synchronized energy patterns that powered the Dominion's edge were being disrupted by the chaotic human signals. Weapon systems failed, shields flickered, and the engines began making worrying sounds. For the first time in 2 centuries of conquest, Vexthar felt afraid. "All crew to emergency stations," he commanded. "Prepare for immediate retreat." On Earth, General Kim watched the alien ship's retreat through telescope feeds from around the world. The massive vessel was limping away from Earth's solar system, leaving trails of sparks and debris behind it. "Did we actually win?" asked Captain Song-Yul, hardly believing what he was seeing. "We didn't just win," replied Dr. Park, watching her readings show the alien ship's energy signature growing weaker as it fled. "We taught them something about humanity that they'll never forget." Lieutenant Colonel Lee J. was coordinating with military units around the world as they watched the alien retreat. What lesson is that? Dr. Park looked around at her team of tired, coffee-fueled scientists and engineers who had just defeated the most powerful warship in the galaxy using duct tape, internet memes, and pure human stubbornness. That humans don't fight to win, she said. We fight because it's impossible to give up, and sometimes that's the most powerful weapon in the universe. As the alien ship disappeared into hyperspace, Earth's defenders began the long process of preparing for whatever might come next. But they knew one thing for certain. The galaxy had learned that humanity was not going to be an easy target. The age of human space exploration was about to begin, and it was going to be just as chaotic and unpredictable as humanity itself.